The Dungeon by Justin M. Bailey. Level 1-1. Ogre Dungeon. Ogre Dungeon was filled to the brim with all sorts of fiends. Everything from orcs to moblins, trolls, dwarves, manlings, and yes, ogres. Lots and lots of ogres. But Ogre Dungeon had never seen anything quite like Garland MacMillan. MacMillan was an elf. An elf that once had everything you or I could ever want. Money, power, fame, magical powers even. And yet one day, he decided to throw it all away. One day, he decided to commit the largest mass murder in all of Autumn's history. And of all the days he picked to do it, he picked nothing less than his 20th birthday party. For his 20th birthday party, Lord Garland MacMillan did not celebrate by opening up a bunch of presents or eating cake. He celebrated by lighting up all his party guests like a bunch of candles, only to blow them out and sing, "Happy birthday to me." But the party didn't stop there. Heck no! Why, with wand in hand, MacMillan partied on through the night, burning down his manor and everyone left alive in it, along with half of his entire hometown of Ruto. Not to mention every single living creature within magical striking distance. It took no less than 12 rangers, only 9 of which survived, to finally bring him down and pry that magical wand out of his hands. The following morning, as half of Ruto still burned, none of Autumn could possibly believe what they saw splattered across the pages of the Morning Herald. Not an elf in Autumn would have ever believed that you would see the words murder and MacMillan in the same headline together. Because believe it or not, before the incident, MacMillan was once held to be the darling of the entire noble class. Of the entire kingdom, no less. After all, MacMillan was once the young, magical genius that had somehow invented the famous magical red potion. The white mage in a bottle, as it had often been heralded. And that one creation alone had made him rich. Rich beyond anyone's dreams, and yet still, he had always given up half of his own personal profits right to charity. MacMillan had once paid for everything in the kingdom. Everything from firewood for the elderly, toys for the orphans, new theaters in every park, and fine festivals held all year round for all. MacMillan was supposed to have been the symbol of Autumn's best, but instead he turned out to be a symbol of their worst. MacMillan was supposed to have been Autumn's shining new hope, but instead he turned out to be just another monster. Just another fiend. Just another nightmare. One that everyone in Autumn just wanted to wake up from and forget. The trial of MacMillan raged on for months. It was considered to be nothing less than the trial of the century. And all the while, MacMillan refused to say a peep, not a word. Peep, not one word. Not to his legistrate, not to the papers, not to a constable or a ranger, not anyone. Perhaps the horror of his crimes had somehow reduced him to nothing more than an empty shell, or perhaps, as some had reasoned, MacMillan was just simply looking to get the insanity clause. But for whatever the reason, when the magistrate finally laid down judgment, 484 life sentences, one for every victim, every creature, to be served in nothing less than Ogre Dungeon, Autumn's most infamous of correctional dungeon facilities, MacMillan finally raised his head to look someone in the eye once again, and to speak once more. And that someone was nothing less than the magistrate himself. "Kill me!" MacMillan said, and everyone in the courtroom suddenly went silent. "Kill me now, because I swear one day if you don't, I'll get out. And when I do," he turned to the entire courtroom, sitting aghast behind him, "I will kill all of you! I swear I will burn all of Autumn to the ground on your fucking heads, so kill me!" He said, screaming and staring at everyone with eyes that burned hotter than any magical spell he could have possibly ever cast. But of course, nobody dared to move. Certainly nobody dared to leap up and try and kill him. That was for damn sure. With a slight giggle, MacMillan soon turned back around to quickly stare at the magistrate once more. One final time. He then let his head drop, and he went silent again, other than the strange muttering of the number 1 to himself over and over and over again. One. Soon everyone in the courtroom did their best to find their breath again, as former Lord Garland MacMillan was then immediately escorted out of the Ruto courtroom covered head to toe in chains, surrounded by a small army of armed constables and rangers, soon to be transported the following week to Ogre Dungeon. MacMillan's request for death would forever be denied, because elves do not execute. It is not considered a very elf-like thing to do, at least not anymore. What is considered a very, very elf-like thing to do is to throw every single creature that is not considered elf-like into a deep, dark, dirty hole in the ground and pretend that they never existed at all. That was a very elf-like thing to do. A very elf-like thing to do indeed. As MacMillan was exited out, the magistrate did what he could to calm and assure every single elf, lady and child in the courtroom that not a creature has ever escaped from Ogre Dungeon since she was first built, and that none of you will ever see his face again. But the truth was, the magistrate saw MacMillan's face all the time after that. Every single time he shut his eyes and went to sleep.